There is few cars out there quite as iconic as the Suzuki Jimny. Since its launch or its facelift in 2020, it's pretty much remained at the top of most enthusiasts' lists. Whether that's just a car that they want to look cute and fantastic, or whether it's a car that they really do want to take off-roading in, the Suzuki Jimny has remained a really must-wanted vehicle. Hi guys, I'm Tish and welcome back to the John Banks Review channel. In today's channel, I'm getting up close and personal with my favourite car. This is the latest generation Suzuki Jimny, the light commercial version. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to consider if you are thinking of buying a Suzuki Jimny, because they're not for everyone, and I'm going to explain why. If you had any questions or queries about our Suzuki Jimnys we have in stock, then you can click the link down below, search our website and chat to one of our sales team. Right, so let's get started. Let's start by talking about, well, what changed in 2020 when they facelifted the Suzuki Jimny. It was always an iconic vehicle, and actually not a huge amount changed. The Suzuki Jimny is truth that you don't have to overcomplicate a vehicle to make it desirable. One thing that they were really good at doing is keeping all of those really cutesy styling elements which make the Jimny so lovable, and that includes these round headlamps at the front. You also have separate fog lamps and you get independent indicators as well. This new Jimny is 30mm shorter, 45mm wider and 20mm taller than before, to best balance off-road articulation and cabin space. The old Jimny lasted an astonishing 20 years on sale. In those 2 decades, it became renowned for being one of the best and most affordable small off-roaders. Unfortunately, after its original update in 2018, Suzuki ran into some issues surrounding emissions regulations. And with the Suzuki Jimny as their only vehicle without hybrid assistance, this put a stop to the sale of this little off-roader. So you see, because of that, Suzuki had to find a loophole. And that loophole that they found is that a light commercial doesn't fall under the same emissions testing as a passenger car. So the Suzuki Jimny become, well, a van. There's no longer rear seats in the back and just some additional load space. And that meant that Suzuki could keep selling the Jimny, which is great news to me. However, a few other things did change as well. Some of the specification was reduced slightly. You also lost the alloy wheels and they're now just steelies. You can also have them in this black design, which I think looks great, especially with the black paintwork. Actually, I think the steelies suit the Jimny maybe even better than the alloy wheels. So let's check out the space in the back and see what's different. So to become a light commercial vehicle, the Jimny had to unfortunately lose its rear seats. They had to extend the load space in the back very slightly, so it gets around 30 litres more than the passenger car when you used to drop the rear seats. This is great for people that are carrying dogs, and you also get the cage at the back as standard. Total load space is now 863 litres and a payload of 150 kilograms, which is some way behind many purpose-built lightweight commercial vehicles. But because of that additional space that they had to gain, they had to push the seats very slightly forward, and that has meant that it's a little bit more compromised in the cabin. So due to the cage having to come a little bit further forward, that meant that legroom is now slightly compromised. You can either choose to have this much legroom, which is about perfect for me, or you will have to sit the car up more vertical, and then this will give you a bit more space to be able to roll back. But as you can see, it still doesn't give you the most amount of legroom. So if you are tall, you may struggle. If you're looking to buy a Suzuki Jimny, you've probably done extensive research, And you would have noticed that after 2020, when it became a light commercial, it wasn't just the rear seats that it lost. It also had a reduction in its available specification. You see, the passenger vehicle had an SZ5 range-topping trim, and this got you heated leather seats, and it also had lots of mod cons. However, this version of the vehicle is a little bit more back to basics, although it still has everything you may need. In the place of the touchscreen, you now have a more basic radio setup. You still have DAB radio and you have Bluetooth available as well. But if you need a satellite navigation, you'll have to do it the old school way, with either using your mobile phone or a TomTom mounted to the screen. Below this, you have climate control settings, which are physical. However, they're not automatic, but they do come with air conditioning. Below this, you'll find your electric windows and your hill descent control. You have a USB charger and a 12-volt charger in the front. The steering wheel still has a ton of different options on it. On the left-hand side, you'll find volume control, and behind that, you'll find your Bluetooth shortcuts. On the right-hand side, you'll find cruise control. However, it's no longer adaptive. The stalks behind the steering wheel are, of course, automatic lights and your window wipers, although these are not automatic. Down the right-hand side of the steering wheel, you'll find two shortcut buttons. These are for your lane assist and your anti-collision warning. Though it lost some of its specification, it still gets all of its safety features, and I love the fact that you can turn them off quickly at the touch of a button, because of course you're not going to need your lane assist when you're off-road, and you especially want to turn off your anti-collision warning so that it doesn't flash up and try and stop you when there's any obstacles in your path. Overall, the quality is pretty good. This is a robust car, and that means you get the grab handle and everything is really wiped clean and very, very practical. It doesn't feel particularly plush, but then you wouldn't expect it to. The thing with the Jimny is, whilst it does attract customers who are into off-roading, because of the rise of cars like the Mercedes G-Wagon and also the Land Rover Defender being used as everyday SUVs, it does mean that the Jimny attracts people who are just looking for this as an everyday car, which looks a bit cool. Now the thing with that is we want everyone to be able to have a Jimny, but you've got to know what you're getting yourself into. This is not an everyday SUV, and it doesn't drive like one either. The 1.5 litre petrol engine produces around 100 brake horsepower, and whilst this feels pretty nippy at low speeds, it does start to slow down when you're gaining higher up the gears and going at slightly faster speeds. You also have to understand that through the combination of the ladder chassis, the four-wheel drive as standard, and also limited slip differential, which will send power to each of the wheels as they slip, and hill descent control, this is a car set up to be an excellent off-roader. What it's not set up to do is be a very good road car. It is quite bumpy, there's a lot of vibrations through the steering wheel, there's not much soundproofing, so there's quite a loud noise from the engine, and you'll also hear stones flick up and a lot of tyre noise when you're on the motorway. And these are all things that you have to take into consideration if you're thinking of living with this car, because it's not for the faint-hearted. It has just enough charm to mean that not all those things are going to bother people, especially if you already know what a Suzuki Jimny drives like. And if you're an owner of a previous generation, then you'll be really pleased to know that actually this car is more composed than it was previously. But in terms of how it drives, it is always going to be best as an off-roader, and this isn't going to compare to a luxury SUV. There was a point in time where we wasn't quite sure if we'd see a new generation of Suzuki Jimny, or if this one would cease to be on sale altogether. But I'm so glad that Suzuki were able to find a way to sell the Jimny via the light commercials route. However, what will happen in the future for Suzuki? Will the Jimny become an EV? Is that something people want to see? Let me know in the comments down below. If you did have any more questions or queries about all the Jimnys we have in stock, then you can follow the link down below and chat to one of our sales associates. I really hope you've enjoyed the video today, guys. If you have, then go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more, you know what to do. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, see you later.